Let's talk about the absolute core language of pretty much every modern API. And no, it's not a programming language. It's a simple set of commands that everything else is built on. If you want to build automation that's actually reliable, this is the alphabet you absolutely have to know by heart. So let's get right into it.
All right, let me ask you a question. You just ran an automated test, one that's supposed to create a new user. What do you do next? Are you still manually logging into a database, running a query, and squinting at the screen to see if the data's there? Look, we've all been there, but you know it's slow, it's not reliable, and honestly, it kind of defeats the whole point of automation, doesn't it?
Well, thankfully, there is a much better way. It's a simple concept, but it's incredibly powerful, and it's the foundation for almost all data interaction on the web. It's called CRUD, and learning it is the key to building rock-solid, fully automated API tests. Now, before we get into any code, let's make this super simple. Just imagine you're a librarian running a digital catalog. The four main things you do every single day, they map perfectly to CRUD.
So, a brand new book shows up. You fill out a form, title, author, all the details, and you add it to the system. You are creating a new record where one didn't exist before. In the API world, that's your post request. Okay, now someone comes in and asks about a book. You use its unique catalog number to just look it up. You're not changing a thing, right? You're just retrieving information that's already there. That's a read operation, which we call a GET request.
But what if you find a mistake? Maybe a typo in the title. You could just fix that one little word. Or, hey, maybe the book got a whole new edition and you need to replace the entire record card with new info. That's an update, and we handle that with either a put for total replacement or a patch for a quick fix.
And finally, when a book gets retired, you take its record out of the catalog. For good. It's gone. That's the delete operation. And you guessed it, it's done with a delete request. See? Create, read, update, delete. Simple as that.
Okay, analogy time is over. Let's see how this actually works by following the lifecycle of a single piece of data. We'll start with the two most common operations, creating it and then double-checking that it's really there.
First up, we have post. Think of a post request as the birth of your data. Its one job in life is to create something totally new on the server. All the info for that new thing, a user's name, email, whatever, gets bundled up and sent in what we call the request body. Now, look at the snippet. The action is right there, .post. That's us telling a server, hey, create something at the /user's endpoint. But here's the insider tip that trips up so many people. A successful creation doesn't return a 200 OK. The correct professional status code you need to check for is 201 created. This is absolutely non-negotiable for a reliable test.
So once we've created something with post, we have to prove it exists. That's where GET comes into play. A GET request is super simple. It just fetches data. We call it a safe method because you could fire off 1,000 GET requests and it should never ever change a single thing on the server. And the code is just as straightforward. We call .get, and we pass in the specific ID of the resource we just made. Then, we simply assert that we got a 200 OK status code back. That's just the server saying, yep, got it, here you go. Awesome. So we can bring data to life, and we can check on it. But of course, data changes. So let's move on to the next phase, how we modify and eventually get rid of our resource. Okay, this is a big one. You have to know the difference between put and patch. Think of put as a total replacement. You have to send the entire object, even the fields you aren't changing. And if you forget a field, the server might just wipe it out. Patch, on the other hand, is like surgical tweezers. You only send the one or two things you want to change, and everything else is left alone. And that brings us to delete. No surprises here, its job is to permanently remove a resource from the server. The interesting thing about a successful delete is that it usually doesn't return anything back. Instead, it confirms it worked with a very specific status code, 204 no content. Now here is a tip straight from the top 1% of QA engineers. Never, ever just send a delete request and assume it worked. The professional way to verify this is a two-step combo. First, send the delete and check for that 204 no content status. But you're not done. Immediately after, you have to send a GET request for that same exact ID. The test only truly passes when you get a 404 not found error. That's your absolute proof that it's really gone.
Mastering these methods isn't just about knowing what to do, It's about knowing what not to do. So let's cover a few of the classic rookie mistakes that almost everybody makes starting out.
The biggest one by far is trying to use post to update data. Just remember, post creates. If you send a post twice, you're going to get 2 different items. Put and patch are for updating. Second, thinking that every success is a 200 OK. As we've seen, that's not true. Creation is 201. A successful delete is 204. Knowing your codes is critical. And finally, with put, don't just check that your change went through. Make sure you also check that any fields you left out were correctly nulled or removed. That's how you prove it was a full replacement.
Okay, let's wrap this all up. If you can really burn these next few points into your mind, you'll be miles ahead on your path to mastering API automation.
So here are your key takeaways, your insider tips. First, master the mapping. Post is create, get is read, put/patch is update, delete is delete. Say it till it's second nature. Second, chain your requests like you would in the real world. You have to post to create the data before you can test updating or deleting it. And third, know your status codes. They are your single source of truth. 201, 200, 204, 404, they tell you exactly what happened.
Look, it might seem basic on the surface, but I promise you, truly mastering this CRUD lifecycle, the methods, the flow, the correct status codes, that alone will put you way ahead of the vast majority of engineers who are testing APIs today. This is the bedrock for everything else.
So you've got the what down. You know what each method does. But the real magic, the real power, comes from knowing when and how to chain these together to test complex, real-world business logic. So, are you ready for that next step?